Hey friends, it's Amy. Are you looking for a place to receive a little Reiki or maybe start to meet other people who are looking for the same thing? I'm going to have a Reiki Share here for you coming right up. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to Whole Self Unity. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to providing integrative healing and self-care for those in need. We host classes, events, community gatherings, all sorts of opportunities. Everything from individual treatments for those who need individual services online, and that can include stuff like Reiki, nutritional coaching, meditation, and transformational life coaching. We are also looking to expand our network of practitioners and our offerings. So if you're a practitioner and you'd like to connect with us, we want to hear from you. Or if maybe you're in need of specific other services and are hoping that we can help you get connected with the right practitioner, get in touch with us and we'll help you find the right people. I promise. Okay. So if this sounds like something you're down with and you want to try out, please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff from the YouTube video. Take a moment to find out about the presentation we have packaged here for you, which is specifically a Reiki Share. This video itself is part of a free workshop series that we post on the fourth Tuesday of each month. We rotate through the co-creators of Whole Self Unity. We take turns offering workshops that we think you're going to find helpful in your self-care routines. Thanks for joining us. My name is Amy, and I'm a Reiki Master Teacher with over 10 years of experience and over 30 years of experience working with meditation, intention, energy. I'm also a shamanic practitioner and include some of those techniques in my teaching here at Whole Self Unity. My healing process has been lifelong and dramatic at times, traumatic, definitely. My purpose is to share with you some of the tips I've learned on my journey, and I can't wait to meet you. Can't wait to meet you in the comments, can't wait to meet you in classes. That's one thing I should probably point out to you is we don't just make internet content for free. I mean, we want to reach people that way. We're definitely meeting the needs of society, I think, by providing some of that free stuff so that you can get to know us a little bit. We're not looking for people who kind of want somebody to wave a magic wand and solve all their problems. We're looking to work with people who are ready to take command and take charge of their healing process, and we get to be your support team. So teach you new tools, teach you new tricks, guide you through some of the initial process. But we're looking for people who want to get to work. And so if that's you, make sure that you connect with us because we might be offering different things than other people you're seeing online. So that being said, what are we talking about today? Well, today we're talking about where we're going to participate in a Reiki Share. So Reiki Shares are something we offer regularly through Whole Self Unity. And I also offer them live in personal locations. What a Reiki Share is it's an opportunity periodically to get together and share Reiki. I know that was so unhelpful. but the idea is that whoever shows up will have their needs met, whatever those needs happen to be. So this one's, I can't tailor this Reiki Share to just who's watching, so I'm going to make it very general. But the idea is that it's a space that we can come together and sort of have your Reiki questions answered, in which case, if you have questions about Reiki, go make a comment. Ask that question in the comments. I'll either respond to you in the comment, or if it's a rich question, I might take that and make a new video out of it. So please interact with us here and let us know. So I'm going to do my best to kind of hit the highlights, the major things that people might have questions about. So sometimes I'll ask people a little bit about what made them come. So maybe that's my first question. Like maybe you don't have any questions about Reiki, but why'd you click on the video and why'd you hang out? Like what were you looking for? Have something that's specific that you're looking for? Whether I covered it or not, go ahead and pop that into the comments so that I can kind of gauge what the needs are of this community and YouTube. Like when I show up for a Reiki Share in my local hometown, I kind of know what I'm going to get because I've had enough of those in-person encounters that I know how to serve them. So you're in an audience to me. The more you comment, the more I can kind of tailor my approach and what I say here in the video to your needs specifically. So that being said, we usually spend a few minutes kind of getting to know one another, see who's there. Sometimes people come and they're practitioners and they would just like to practice on somebody and keep their skills fresh. Sometimes they're people who I've taught them in a recent class and they want to practice skills again without like seeing somebody as a quote client or being hired to do the work, just to kind of get a little additional coaching on the skill. And then sometimes people come because they need relief with something. So regardless of like sort of where you are on that spectrum, I guess the fourth type of person is somebody who's just sort of like, I don't know what this is. Is this something that could be helpful? Should I seek a treatment? Should I take a class? Like, what's the next step and what is this Reiki stuff? So regardless of who you are on those kind of like four main populations, let's just kind of step through some things that might meet all of your needs. So first, what is Reiki? So what is Reiki? It's a question I answer a lot because it's a really common question for people. They kind of like, I heard what that stuff is, but I'm not quite sure what it is. Like I hear people say Reiki and I don't know what that is. So I have a lot of different ways to answer that. Like the textbook answer is that it's a form of stress reduction and relaxation. It came from Japan. And the specific things that we teach in a Reiki class are all descended from, an original teacher, Mikao Usui, who came from Japan and sort of developed and began to teach this method in the early 20s. So it's been around about 100 years. And it's changed and evolved a lot since then, but then again, certain fundamental principles are just the same. Reiki, when you break it down, Rei means universal, and Ki, which is just the Japanese version of the concept that you may have heard through martial arts study or knowledge of martial arts study. It's the same character and the same word for Chi. So Chi and Ki are sort of synonymous across languages there, and that's talking about this life force energy. So Rei, universal, Ki, life force energy. When you put them together, it's universal life force energy. And the whole idea is that this energy is pervasive and around us all the time. For some people, I like to say it's the energy that turns the planets or holds things together in space. It is the gravity, the spin, the electromagnetic, chemical, heat, inertia, kinesthetic forces that are running around and through us on a regular basis, right? Newton's first law of thermodynamics, that energy cannot be created or destroyed, it simply changes forms. So what we're working with in Reiki is this concept that this energy is all around us at all times, running through us, around us, and that we can tap into it. We can encourage a better flow. We can, through our systems, we can facilitate with our focus, doing phenomenal things. Just like when somebody studies martial arts and they break a board, it's well acknowledged that yes, you do have to have certain physical technique in order to pull something like that off, but that if you do it without the mental focus and the energetic focus that needs to happen in order to pull off that goal, without engaging your chi or ki, that you're just going to end up hurting your hand. So the focus is really the thing that allows you to do the superhuman things. Well, that translates to just living your life as well. So it's generally, I've never really loved that textbook definition. But I've come to understand it and love it a lot more the more experience that I gain with the technique. And that is because no matter who you are, no matter what you're looking for, when you receive Reiki, at a bare minimum, you're always going to leave relaxed with your stress reduced. Now, have I seen Reiki deliver a lot more than just relaxation and stress reduction? Absolutely. So it just kind of depends on what your needs are, what you're looking for. At a minimum, that's what you're going to receive. And that's no small gift, that's being able to just kind of chill out and set things aside for a moment allows your body to reset even under the most stressful circumstances, and then it's able to heal itself a lot better. So although I could wax eloquent and long-winded about all the woo-woo, phenomenally weird metaphysical stuff I have experienced and witnessed, it is there. But if you're not there, don't let that scare you, because Reiki will always meet you where you're at. If you're just down for a few seconds of taking a deep breath or two and feeling better in your body, then Reiki will open that to you and provide that. If you want to have some kind of deep, mystical, spiritual experience, and you're open to it and you're ready, Reiki will meet you there. But if that kind of freaks you out a little bit, trust me, Reiki's going to meet you where you're at. It's not going to ask anything of you that you're not ready for. So that's the beautiful thing about Reiki. I like to kind of also add to that definition, that textbook definition of stress reduction, relaxation, of it's exactly what you need in this now moment, in a kind and gentle way. So I like to say that it's just unconditional love. When I'm working with somebody through Reiki, I'm opening a channel of unconditional love. Now, some of you might have, especially if you have spiritual beliefs or whatever, you might have a different name that you name or call unconditional love. And that's fine too. I'm not here to put a label on it. It's just Reiki to me. And Reiki is about the techniques that I use in order to access that universal life force energy, whatever else you choose to call that in your own time, whatever relationship you choose to have with it. The beautiful thing about the Reiki techniques is they don't demand belief from you. They don't demand allegiance. They don't demand faith. If you want to have that relationship with it, you're welcome to. But as a Reiki teacher, that's not what I teach. I kind of teach the science of it, the spirituality of it. I kind of try to keep my terms really sort of backed off and open so that you can have whatever relationship you need with this energy and with these techniques. So that being said, Reiki does no harm, ever. It's set only to provide what you need in this time. And so in other words, it will shut off if you ask for something that would cause harm. It's just the way it goes. So you can trust that what you are opening yourself to is only a benevolent, kind, unconditional love sort of energy. It will shut off if you have motives that maybe are really ego-based or that might inadvertently cause harm to yourself or others, anyone. It will simply just kind of go, and we're not going to do that. So the other thing is that you give permission for the Reiki to work. And I've had multiple experimental situations where I'm teaching class and I explain this to people and they're a little skeptical. They're kind of like, I don't know, let's play with this. Because my classroom is that kind of exploratory place where we just like, well, what happens if we do this? So one of the things the experiment went with is that granting of permission and then revocation of permission. So if a student's on the table receiving during a class exercise, generally what happens, if they're willing to tell you the whole story, is they're experimenting with that concept of granting permission, and they, in the middle of a session, just kind of go, nope, I'm done. I don't want to receive anymore. What happens is the flow of Reiki cuts off, and whoever's providing to them is kind of like, wait a minute, I thought I had this list of 3 other things we were going to do, but all of a sudden I'm being told we're done. And then when you talk to the student about their experience, they're like, yeah, we're done because I revoked permission right in that moment. So that sometimes makes people, if they don't understand what we're doing, it makes them understand that one, only good can come from it, but also two, they're ultimately in control. Like I said, the Reiki will always meet you where you are. And if you change your mind, and you can at any moment, then it's going to acknowledge that there was a change in consent, and it's going to be done. So you're safe in those regards. What it can do beyond that, it's kind of up to your imagination, your permission, and what you allow it to do for you. But it will meet you in that unconditional love space, only with your consent, only with permission. And that's kind of what it is. It feels nice. It feels deeply relaxing. Sometimes you'll get like kind of some images as if you were dreaming or deeply, deeply meditating. I will find from my own experience, the meditative state I was able to maintain before receiving Reiki was much lower than what I got jumped up to as soon as I started to work with Reiki. So, and then I think that's generally what my clients experience too. It's like the people that maybe can't settle down to meditate, when I provide Reiki to them, they're suddenly able to just kind of, mellow out and simply relax and receive, even if it's in a very disruptive sort of environment. So that is a beautiful thing as well. All right, so that's kind of the overview of sort of what Reiki brings to the table. It stands to reason that if you want to receive, then you need to kind of grant permission or even set boundaries around what's going to be acceptable for you. So maybe the first time you receive, if you're going to play through this workshop, maybe if it kind of freaks you out that we're doing some stuff that you can't see, touch, taste, hear, all that good stuff, that you want to just kind of dip your toe carefully in the water. So while I'm giving this talk, I want you to kind of think about what it would be okay for you to experience during this workshop, because we are going to provide a little Reiki meditation at the end, and I want you to start thinking about what you're going to feel comfortable receiving. Is that, deep relaxation? Is that stress reduction? Is it a reset on your body? All those things are really, really common. Maybe you have a specific ache or pain that you would like to hand over to the Reiki and say, I don't think I need this anymore, and I would like help with it. So kind of set your mind around what that is, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, something that you were handed from your family line that's intergenerational. I will say that the stickier, knottier problems like intergenerational healing, maybe an internet session's not the best approach to that. However, I know that the energy will step up to deliver what you need. It also may be the thing that sort of clicks a key in a lock and allows the pathway toward the healing you actually need on some of those deep unresolved issues to put all the dominoes in place, right? So that maybe this internet healing's not going to give you everything you need right at first, but it's probably going to open the doors to the next thing, the next thing, and the next thing that allows you to do that work. Because in my experience, intergenerational healing or really deep, sticky, energetic problems, they take more work than that. That's not to say you can't get help here in this Reiki Share. I'm just saying, give the energy a little grace to work with you, because those types of problems you're participating in some way. I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm saying you're participating in them in some way. And it might be just sort of the programming you've been handed, or the sort of assumptions about what is good or what is love or what is family. Some of these big questions, philosophical, we really wrestle with them. And sometimes the way we were brought up, the way we experienced our initial few years of life sort of sets a stage with some assumptions or beliefs that kind of the only way to alter and change them is a good bit of work. It's multi-dimensional. Like, you got here to the place you're at through your life through a lot of multi-dimensional decisions. You made social decisions, you made emotional decisions, you made thought form decisions, you made physical decisions. You know, it's like one Reiki session offered free on the internet is probably not going to untangle all of those things. So I want to be clear that that doesn't mean that you can't get help here. That means the bigger the problem you're bringing to this session, then the more you need to be open to the fact that there's work for you to do in that solving that problem. Reiki will meet you wherever you need to be met in order to get that healing work done. But that you should also allow yourself and the Reiki and all of your ancestors and everyone you meet and come in contact with a little bit of grace. Yes, miracles are possible. Yes, the work can just be done, and it's done, and you didn't have to worry about it. But sometimes, some of us, and I'm pointing the finger at me, not you, some of us need to learn these things the hard way. And I know I've had teachers go like, well, maybe it can be easy. Just give that up. And I'm like, Because, and the answer that comes from deep inside me is, yes, it can. Reiki can provide the absolute miracle to turn you 180 degrees instantly. And I've had it do that many times. But a lot of the work that I do on a daily basis on my own healing, my family healing, society's healing, I need the experience of wrestling with it a little bit so that I can walk other people through their process more effectively, with more compassion. So, yes, the miracles are completely possible, and I want you to be open to them as much as possible. But I also want to give you some grace, because your process may not be miraculous. You may have a process more like me, like frickin' Sisyphus rolling that stupid rock up the hill again. That's me. That's me in my healing process. So, but I'm open to helping and working in any way I can. Okay. So what we're going to do here as we move into the meat of the Reiki Share, as we start to practice, is we're going to have a relaxation space for you. We're going to have a space where you can get quiet and sit with yourself and simply open yourself to receive from this universal life force energy. And I want you to think now about how you want that interaction to go. In other words, are there boundaries around what you would like to have help with? Do you just want to have a relaxation experience? What's your intention? What outcome are you looking for? And here's where I like to help my clients and my students sort of pinpoint what's a best idea or best practice. In other words, usually when I ask people, what outcomes do you want? We kind of, sometimes if they're inexperienced with Reiki, they kind of come with this great big wish list. And it's like, I want to, meet somebody to share the rest of my life with and go places and go on dates and that's my big problem and I want to have that solved. And I'm like, more power to you. That's lovely. But it sounds like what you're really wanting is companionship. It sounds like what you're really wanting is someone to share your life with. And so then my next question is, why aren't you enough for that? Which can be a whole other can of worms. You're only in control of you. So if you're unhappy with part of your life right now, that's a sign that something needs to change. So if you're here to do healing work on yourself. So what is it that you need to change for yourself in order to have better quality of life, more joy, more happiness, more feelings of belonging, of being honored and heard? Because that's at the root of, like, I need somebody to share my life with. Well, why? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that's beautiful. But you're upping the difficulty level on your ask. Like, you have to find the person who's on the right wavelength that you're ready to meet. And there's no guarantee that they're actually going to meet you. Like, you think you found the right person, and then, wow, it turned out to be a lesson. They turned out to be part of your growth process. All really normal, and it happens. So if you're actually trying to heal yourself, then instead of worrying about the external inputs, and what I mean by external inputs is anything outside yourself. Like, I want my husband to treat me better, or I want to find the perfect companion, or I want my mom to finally understand me. It's like, well, and what are you looking for in that? Because that's where your work is. As if you want your mom to understand you better, then at some level, you're not getting something from that relationship. It's dissatisfying. When you do Reiki, you can't ask for somebody else to change. You're asking for Reiki for you, and that means you need to figure out what you need to change. And that could be all kinds of things. It could be changing the way you communicate, or changing the way you see the relationship, or setting your expectations lower, or having those needs that are being unmet by that existing relationship met someplace else. And the easiest way to have unmet needs in a relationship met is by learning to provide them for yourself. So, oh my God, we just went right down the psychotherapy rabbit hole, didn't we? Wow, I'm shifting. There we go. Falling off my chair. Woo. So it just depends on, when I ask you for the objectives, I'm asking you, what do you want to feel like when we're done? What would you like to receive in this session that has to do with you? Maybe it's wisdom and insight. Maybe it's validation. Maybe it's nourishment. So in other words, it's not all about necessarily what you need to change or shift in yourself, but like, what do I need to be doing differently right now? And a Reiki session is always an opportunity to examine that and figure out what your next steps are in your own healing process. Your healing process, not your mom's, not your husband's, not your spouse's, not your boss. What is it that I can do for myself to make my path easier, for me to feel better in my body? That's where your objective should lie. And I would say, if you've never received Reiki before, or you're early on your journey, it's like, keep it simple. Like, I just want to feel a little more relaxed and refreshed so that I have more capacity to solve my problems later, or I sleep better tonight. Something simple, right? So it's up to you what you want to set as your objectives, what you want to set as your scope, but I want you to start thinking about that, and we're going to talk about it more in just a minute. Okay. So if you're a practitioner of Reiki, I am going to walk you through my hygiene practice. If you are just new to Reiki, you might be a little lost about what I mean by my hygiene practice. Really, it's kind of the same things that we would do as if we were going to do physical healing, right? So you wouldn't choose to put a dirty rag on an open wound if you had a choice about that, right? We would look to find first aid supplies that are sterile and clean as much as possible. Not because we're scared of microbes or we think microbes are evil, or that they're going to get us. And, I think they all are out to get us in some way. We're all food for somebody else. But that's a joke. But I would use a clean bandage to bandage a wound because I want to increase the chances of really good healing. And if it's within my control, then I'm going to provide a sterile bandage or a sterile wrapping for an open wound as a choice. So with Reiki, we're dealing with wounds too. We're dealing with energetic wounds, things that are beyond the body, but very much part of us. So what that means is we need to provide an environment that is going to maximize the good outcomes, the desired outcomes of that session. So I'm going to provide that. I'm going to provide that around you. If you want to kind of pay attention to it, you're welcome to. If you are not a practitioner and you don't care, I would say just lay back, close your eyes, get in the groove of it, and don't pay too close attention. If you're a practitioner or a student and you want to know what my hygiene practice is, I'm going to walk you through it. And if you want to learn more, take a class from me, because the hygiene's kind of my specialty. And the reason, again, we do hygiene is to maximize the effectiveness of the techniques in every healing session. Again, not because we're scared of bad energy, because energy's energy. There are bad intentions or poor intentions. There are suboptimal ways to approach the energy. But the energy itself is energy. And sometimes one of the things that the healing session is for is to transform our relationship with an energy frequency or a thought form or our own past memories. And if you set up a practice room, a sacred space, I'm just going to call it sacred space, call it whatever you like, the place where we're going to do Reiki, we're going to make that as clean as possible energetically. But I'm not going to build a fortress around us. I'm going to kind of build a cellular membrane, which those of you who've ever had any biology or studied any of that science stuff, a cellular membrane is really a beautiful design where it allows the right things into the cell at the right time, ideally. And then it also packages up the stuff that's no longer needed and sends it on its way. Or stuff that maybe we got too much of, sends it outside that cell membrane. But it's permeable, and it's permeable on purpose so that the cell gets the appropriate amount of oxygen or water or nutrients or the little ions it needs to do its job, including repair and replication. Well, if that's on one cell basis, imagine what you must need with the complexity of your organism. And then also, if we start bringing that into like an extracellular level and we start dealing with your energy field, we need semi-permeable spaces to contain our energy. We need to be able to bring in the stuff that's nourishing us. We need to release the stuff that's no longer needed. You need a semi-permeable space to do your healing, and yet it needs to be as clean as possible. So you'll notice that part of my process is to create boundaries that are not fear-based, but are very much sort of, the boundaries are set around what is it we're trying to accomplish, what is it that you need. Everything you need is going to be brought to you, but you're going to be kept safe in this process. So we're going to clear space. We're going to, anybody who is going to provide, and you are welcome to provide and give Reiki as part of this session, you will be limited by the intentions that I set, and I will ask that you set your intentions to be the same as I use in the preparation process. And that if you do not use those intentions, that the people who are here to receive are going to set things so that they're only able to receive people who have the greatest possible good in the highest possible way for all beings as their primary directive. You got that, recipients? Whatever you're open to, whatever your scope, you're free to make your own boundaries. What I ask is, because you're going to have practitioners throughout time and space delivering Reiki to you here, you can filter that and say, I only wish to receive from those who share Amy's intentions. And my primary intention will be only the greatest possible good in the highest possible way for all beings throughout the universe, and especially those who have given permission for this Reiki healing to work on them at this time as they're viewing it. Okay, so set your boundaries, give permission for that. There you go. Now you're safe. The other thing that we're going to do, so part of this talk is preparing the clients, the people who will be recipients. So I'm kind of letting you know, you set your scope, you set your boundaries, you give permission to only what you give permission to. And I'm going to set up the space so that those permissions are what's going to drive things for you. The practitioners are going to prepare themselves. We're then going to prepare the space, and then we're going to give our intentions. So I'm going to give the intentions. If you're a practitioner, feel free to listen to my intentions and roll the thing back so that you can participate with me. In other words, kind of listen to it twice. And if you're already one of my students and know what my basic rules of operation are, then just join me in the intention setting process. Then we're going to give you Reiki for about 10-15 minutes. And then we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the experience just briefly. Obviously not hugely, because you're not here to give me your feedback. But if you have feedback for me, leave it in the comments. And then we can have a conversation about that. What your experience was like, what you saw, what you felt, what happened for you. Okay. And that's always part of the process. And then I would ask that when you're done with this workshop and you receive the Reiki healing, that you are gentle with yourself for some time. This type of work always kind of has a flow and a structure to it. And the structure is that we do the preparation, which is what we're doing together right now. We're talking it through, preparing you mentally, letting you know what decisions you need to make as a recipient. The practitioners are also kind of like, okay, here's the things that I need to do. So we're preparing sort of cognitively around what's going to happen. Then we're going to start the actual preparation phase as the work begins. So the structure of the work itself, we're going to prepare a sacred space for everybody to kind of receive Reiki according to our intentions. So that means if you intend to just receive at this time, I want you to get comfortable for a 15-minute or so, maybe 20 minutes, we'll see, healing session. So if you're going to be more comfortable sitting up and meditating, I would say gather what you need to do that. If you're going to sit on a zabuton and a zafu, like if you're into that, or if you have a meditation chair, or maybe you want to sit up against a wall so your back's supported and you can fully relax. Light a candle or get to your space where you do your self-care work. Also, if you want to lay down and kind of take a nap or a snooze around this, like if you have a massage table, you can go climb on that. Or if you want to lay down in bed, just make sure that you are safe to sort of disengage from this consensual reality where we have to be up and doing and going, and that you're safe to kind of lay down and take a nap. And that's what the session will look like. After we do the work, you always decompress. You have a little conversation. You return fully to your body. You recover from the work. So you get it's kind of like waking up, as a general rule. Most people are going to need a few minutes to kind of wrap their head around that they're here and not in a dream anymore, or whatever they were dreaming about. And they're ready, before they're ready to put their feet down and stand up and go. So give yourself that grace. We're going to take it here after the session. But then after that, like when the client leaves my office, there should always be a little period of integration. There should be sort of a time where you're a little more gentle with yourself while you're kind of feeling out your rough edges and saying, what's shifted, what's changed, how am I a different person because I just received Reiki, and what do I need to change about myself going forward? Maybe I had too many things on my to-do list, and it's time to kind of be a little more realistic about the demands I place on myself. Or maybe I need to fuel my body a little bit more. Maybe I need to be more conscious about hydration. That's a message that came through loud and clear. So I'm going to go and pour myself a glass of water. I'm going to make a little space for me to be different on the other side of a Reiki healing than I was when I went in. So that's done by slowing down. It's done by taking things a little easier. Maybe you want to take a nap. Maybe you want to go take a bath. Or maybe you want to go to bed. Maybe you want to, have an easy rest of the day. That part's up to you as a recipient, and kind of wrap your head around it. How am I going to help myself create change from this healing? Because that's ultimately our job, right? This isn't a magic wand. We participate in the process. The energy does the healing through unconditional love and meets us where we're at, but we always have homework. There's always homework. Sorry, that's how she works. So, that being said, let's take this from the cognitive planning phase to the actual preparation phase, where we get ready to do the Reiki session. So this is a good place to kind of pause things, to get set up to receive or set up to give, depending on whether you're a Reiki practitioner or not, depending on what you came here for. Okay, so hopefully you have everything all put together so that you're ready to begin this session. Thank you for being here. Not only for yourself, but for each other. All right, so I'm going to begin my preparation process. And the first thing that I'm going to do is prepare not only my physical space where I'm at. So if you're a practitioner, I want you to kind of do the same thing. If you're not a practitioner, I want you to kind of imagine this happening around you, because I'm also going to be using the Reiki symbols to provide sort of a metaphysical safe space for us to conduct our work together. So what I'm going to do is make sure that the four walls around me are cleared and secured with Reiki. And I'm also doing that in our metaphysical space that we share via the internet, but also kind of interdimensionally. Woo! It's kind of some Doctor Strange stuff, and that's okay. That's all right. So I'm going to start with one wall, and I'm going to give an affirmation that helps me sort of focus my Reiki and focus my intentions. I'm going to say, Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time or taken back to the source to be held in love or recycled and renewed. And then I'm going to use my most powerful Reiki symbol. And I might even use more than one. And I'm just imagining those walls shimmering and shining now with gold and silver and white, brilliant light as that Reiki just sort of bathes one side of my cardinal directions. And then I'm going to turn to the next wall and I'm going to do the same thing. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time or taken back to the source to be held in love or recycled and renewed. And then I use my most powerful Reiki symbols. And then I'm going to come to the third cardinal direction and do the same thing. Now I can make these boundaries as large or small as I need to. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time or taken back to the source to be held in love, recycled and renewed, and then give my most powerful Reiki symbol. I often find that if I'm in a shared space, like an apartment building that shares a wall, or a business situation where there's two businesses that are independent of each other that are sharing walls or boundaries, is that sometimes, I'm doing this on the fourth cardinal direction, sometimes I need to kind of make a buffer zone so that people don't feel energetically threatened by me drawing a really firm boundary. So I'll sometimes create a buffer zone by extending and extending and extending, or including their business. Again, with gentle thoughts, not asking them to change or anything, but more like a blessing. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time, or taken back to the source to be held in love, or recycled and renewed. And then I'm going to give my most powerful Reiki symbols. So now we have a safe space, not only that I've constructed around me and that all other practitioners who will be participating in this healing have done, but also around all participants, because I'm also building that in my mind as well, that there's a metaphysical space interdimensionally that we're sharing right now. And now I've got 4 cardinal directions dealt with. We've also got above and below. So I usually like to go above first because I like to keep people grounded as long as possible. And so I'm going to think of the space above, and I'm going to draw that in and just visualize that beautiful shimmering light. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time or taken back to the source to be held in love or recycled and renewed. And give my most powerful Reiki symbol. Feels really nice as that fills in. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the ground, with our connection with the earth. So I'm going to go ahead and paint that in as well. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time, or taken back to the source to be held in love, or recycled and renewed. So now we've basically built a cube or a sphere around ourselves. Now let's cleanse this from the or consecrate it from the inside out. So I'm going to put my Reiki symbol right in the middle. You might feel comfortable drawing it. Okay, I'm drawing it with my mind's eye because I don't want to put too much information out there for people who maybe aren't attuned, because that can get confusing. Here we go. Creator, I give thanks that anything less than light is transformed at this time, taken back to the source to be held in love or recycled and renewed. And I'm allowing that beautiful shimmering Reiki light to just fill all the way to the edges that we've already drawn. And now this is a safe space for Reiki to enter. It's a safe space for us to heal. It's a clean room, basically. It's a safe space for us to give off whatever we no longer need and have it be sent right back to the source to be recycled and renewed. You know, whenever we give something up, something else has to fill the space. Nature abhors a vacuum. So it's kind of like, you know, when you've got water flowing into a vessel, and that energy is sort of like water. It's going to flow the same way. So, you know, when you give something up, what's going to flow in is what's immediately around it. So why we set up a space like this is so that we can fill the space with as much positive energy, with high charged, high vibrational Reiki, unconditional love energy. So that if you do release something, what's able to rush in is going to be nourishing, fulfilling, and only consecrated or ordained for the greatest possible good in the highest possible way. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mentally put in all of my Reiki symbols. So if I was just starting my Reiki journey, I would probably draw them out one at a time and tap them all in. And I'm going to do that mentally, but I'm not going to share that with you. So this is something that if you were my client, I would do this for you every time you come in, but you wouldn't know I was doing it. You'd be laying on the table with your eyes closed and sweet music playing, and you're just kind of wondering what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. I'm consecrating the space. I'm charging it up so that you have an optimal space for you to release energy or to bring in what nourishment, just like that cell wall. Okay, so I'm going to take just a second. I'm going to run through some of my symbols. If you're a practitioner and you want to join me, feel free to charge up our metaphysical space and your space at home with every single one of your Reiki symbols. Now, if you are joining us in this space with the intention to receive Reiki, you may begin to feel that sort of, I call it a Reiki buzz, or it's going to feel kind of relaxing. There might be a little physical sensation to it. It might feel kind of like you're entering an electrical field. You might feel heat, coolness, tingling. You might begin to see colors. All that's perfectly normal. And again, if it bothers you, just ask the Reiki not to do that. But basically, if you are experiencing some of that, it's just validation that the energy is gathering around you and we're preparing for a healing space. Yes, I'm still putting my symbols into the room. I've got a few. Just continue to breathe. And now's a really good time, if you're just receiving, you don't have a lot of experience with Reiki, to sort of clearly state for yourself what you are looking for out of this healing, what you're asking help with to help you change or shift or revise, what you are ready to let go of, and maybe you need a little help releasing it, what you are looking to welcome in as you are on your own healing path. And if there are limitations because you have fears or nervousness, then I want you to kind of be really clear about what those boundaries are so that you feel safe and can just deeply relax in this environment and open yourself to receive what you have asked for. Okay. The sacred space is prepared. I'm going to take a moment and make sure that I am clean in my energetic field. I would ask that all other practitioners do the same thing. So I'm just going to draw my most powerful Reiki symbol right in front of me. I'm going to empower it and I'm going to breathe it in. And then as I blow it out, I'm going to be blowing it out through my field, through my physical body, through my chakras, then my central channel, and then out into what is called my aura, or my extending field, with the intention that anything that's not needed at this time just kind of blows off so that I can focus more deeply on the Reiki and provide more powerful, effective healing for those who are asking for it at this time. So this, what I'm blowing off, is going straight back to the source in a very controlled way, not to affect any other participants or any others who are gathered here to offer Reiki. And I ask that those of you who are participating in this cleansing process with me, and even if you don't have Reiki, if you want this cleansing process, let's set the intention that you will receive this also at this time. So I want you to imagine a beautiful spiral of brilliant, shimmering gold and silver light hovering about the size of your chest, all your ribs, maybe a little bit bigger, arm's width. It's large enough to be huggable, hovering before you. Here we go with the cleansing process. I'm going to ask you to take a nice deep breath in, hug it into your body and into your heart. And then exhale in all directions. And anything that is not yours, simply going to go straight back to the source. Let's do this 2 more times. Empower that beautiful shimmering spiral. Breathe it in. And exhale it out forcefully in all directions. Good. Last time, just so you can kind of jump on this train at some point. If you need it, this will allow you to just release what is no longer needed. It's not serving you. It's just a Marie Kondo move, right? It's going to be nothing to give it up. Big, beautiful spiral of brilliant, shimmering gold and silver light. We're going to breathe it in, hug it in, and then exhale forcibly, all directions, up, down, right, left, front, back, all directions, right back to the source. Thank you so much. And since we're in a clean room, in a clean metaphysical space, what's allowed to replace that energy you just gassed off or sent away is going to be clean, pure Reiki energy. That probably already feels better already. So now we have prepared our clients, those who are going to receive. We've prepared the practitioner. We've prepared a sacred space for the healing. And now we're going to prepare our intentions. So again, if you're a practitioner and you're not used to me or working with me, you might want to listen to it, play it back, and then kind of say along with me. But if you need to sort of evaluate those, you're welcome to kind of stop the video and assess that and join me in the intention process the second time around. So here we go. Creator and source of all there is, thank you for the Reiki that flows through our bodies. Thank you for setting our egos and personalities aside that we may be clear and open channels of divine light, love, and wisdom, able to heal ourselves, all those we come in contact with, our friends and loved ones, and strangers we meet, to heal ourselves and the universe with divine light, love, and wisdom now. Creator and source of all that is now appropriate to invite in all beings of light, angels, Reiki guides, highest selves, ascended masters. And if you work with specific ones that you want to invite to your healing, to heal you or to guide you as you heal, please invite them at this time by name. I will always invite in Jesus, Mary, Buddha, Kuan Yin, Avalokiteshvara, the Apostle Thomas, Sophia. I always invite in the angels, Raphael, Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Zadkiel, Metatron, and Sandalphon. If you have any power animals or other benevolent, ego-less entities that you work with, they are welcome in this space to help you with healing, including our ancestors who have the power to heal. Invite in at this time all participants and their energies who express a desire for healing. If you have specific intentions or scope that you want to set for your own healing at this time, please do so now. Please feel free to state it out loud if that makes you more comfortable, or state it in your mind's eye. I ask that all intentions and all beings who join us in this metaphysical space designed specifically for the healing of all who are gathered here throughout time and space, across dimensions and timelines, that this work only provide the greatest possible good in the highest possible way, not only for all gathered here, but all those we come in contact with, and indeed for all beings throughout the universe. And we give thanks that this work is effective and efficient for all who wish to receive it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so it is. Amen. Namaste. Aho. And that closes the intention process. So now we are ready to deliver. So if you are here to receive, simply open your energy field, open yourself to receive. Sit back and relax. If You are here to provide, to share. Simply work through your process. If you're a person who works with symbols, if you're a person who simply beams energy, allow the Reiki to guide you of what is needed at this time. If you have specific insight about a specific person, please feel free to offer to their higher self what you have to offer for distribution to that person. Since we are not meeting in person, to develop trust in the physical world, it is important that you follow that protocol so that the Reiki they receive is filtered to them in the time that it is needed, and the highest self is the best way to do that communication. If you're a Reiki practitioner and you feel the call to change which frequency you're working with, just listen to your inner knowing and your inner guidance. you are safe and that you are heard. Know that you are honored here in this healing space. And most of all, you are worthy of the most miraculous healing. You are worthy of unconditional love. And you are worthy of feeling healthy, whole, joyous, creative, healed. And as this Reiki session begins to come to a close, if you are a practitioner, I want you to begin to sort of step back, allow your Reiki to sort of wind down. If you have certain practices that you do at the close of a session, begin to prepare for those now. If I were physically in a room with this recipient, and these are many recipients, I would step back and sort of extend my arms with the intention with each breath that I was filling every single one of your energy fields. And again, instead of filling that bubble around them, I'm going to send a bubble. I'm going to intend to build a bubble, and I'm going to send the energy to the higher self of all gathered here. And ask that the higher self build this bubble around the person in the present moment participating in this session. And the intention of this Reiki bubble is so that anybody who has received healing in this session is simply able to draw on this nourishing, clean, pure, high vibrational energy that has only unconditional love for them, that they can draw on it at any time they need in the next minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years ahead. especially as they are wrestling with whatever healing issue they brought to this session for healing. There's also a clear intention that whoever has asked sincerely for healing, that their solution is on its way to them. Even if this session wasn't all that helpful in this time and space, let the wheels be in motion, let the journey be set, so that the right method at the right time, the right healer at the right time, shows up for the people who have come here asking for help. And we know that this is so, and we give thanks. And now this session is complete. I seal this healing in love and light. I seal this healing in love and light. I seal this healing in love and light. And so it is. Now we gave thanks. I'm kind of severing any cords that have begun in between any of us. And we said thank you at the outset, but it's always a good idea to kind of say thank you again. If you are a provider, a practitioner, I want you to take a moment to kind of cleanse your field again, either through Kenyoku bathing, with that Reiki thing that we did before, building that ball, hugging it in and blowing it in all directions. Anything that's not needed goes directly back to the source. So again, we're kind of wrapping our heads around disengaging from the client. And then if you are a recipient, I want you to begin to come back to us. Make sure that you are fully in your body. To take a couple of deep breaths with the intention of filling your lungs and feeling your lungs expand, feeling your diaphragm shift down, your belly expand, and then as you exhale, the movement that's needed in your ribs and in your belly to make that exhalation happen. Begin to become aware of your body, maybe wiggle your fingers and toes a little bit. And when you are ready to open your eyes, might be a good idea to have a little sip of water, a little sip of tea, and sort of come back, swallow. Come back to the body in the present time, in the present space. Hey, hope you're feeling a little better. Give yourself a few minutes to kind of come to. I might even say that when we're done talking here, that you spend a few minutes journaling about your experience, what you felt, what you saw, how your body felt. Maybe you just had a really high quality nap. You're also welcome to leave that feedback in the comments and hope that we have a lot of short stories to share, not just when this video is released, but also on into the future. It's an honor to be here with you today and to be part of your healing journey. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. So this is a Reiki Share. And ordinarily we would wrap this up and spend a few minutes kind of sharing back and forth what we felt, what we experienced, what we saw at different times. And often those conversations sort of talk to each other. So I'm inviting you, please, to come to the comments and share those stories if you have them. Or put down your questions if you have them. I'm so glad you joined us here today for this Reiki Share. Reiki Share is something that is going to be sort of ongoing. I think if we build enough of an audience, I will start hosting them either as streaming events. And I certainly, as when I'm teaching classes, I also offer them as weekly events so that the students have a place to come and practice, where I'm not teaching them new stuff, we're just practicing what we've already learned. And those are done in a Zoom room so that we can talk about the techniques we're using, we can brush up on our skills, and we can have a conversation knowing that the only people in the room are also Reiki attuned, so we're not worried about like making it confusing or scary or weird to people who aren't attuned. And then also the plan is, if there's a lot of people who want to receive, the plan is to have some community Reiki shares that are streamed and available to the general public. So whether you want to offer Reiki during those, or if you want to just receive during those, keep your eye on those. We'll be having them listed through our social media, Facebook primarily, Facebook and Instagram. We're Whole Self Unity, and also on our webpage, which is wholeselfunity.org. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you'll spend a little extra time with yourself, sort of not just recovering from the session, but integrating what you learned about yourself or was validated for you about your healing path during that session. And again, hit the comments because I'm anxious to see how your experience went. Okay, so that being said, I can give you the kind of Whole Self Unity outro. Thank you for joining us. Please make sure you like, share, subscribe, because we're going to keep having these types of offerings. There are going to be a lot of different workshop topics coming up. I hope that you'll check out our YouTube channel and really sort of explore what we are offering. I hope that you'll visit our webpage and sign up for some classes or some events, and find what you're looking for. Again, thanks for joining me. Wishing you peace from the inside out. And it's an honor to be here on this healing path with you. I'm not a guru. I'm just walking the healing path myself. So it's good to see you here. And I look forward to knowing you better and meeting you in the comments and in classes. See you later.